Um, Good afternoon, everyone. This is Meleika, Evanston Live TV, and we are here for another episode of Nabors Speak with Reverend Dr. Michael Nabors. Thank you so much. Pastor,
Hello.
I call him Pastor Nabors.
Thank you. Thank you.
I call him Pastor Nabors.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump right into it because I know you got to prepare for, online church. And what do you have coming up right now?
Right now, we have our Monday, Thursday service that's going on. We have a Bible study that's going on right now, and one of our ministers, Reverend L, conducts that every Thursday for seniors from 12 to 1. And so as soon as that's over, we're going to go right into our Monday, Thursday service, which is a recognition of the first communion that Jesus took with his disciples.
All right. All right. So how do we do communion now?
Well, we are asking people in their individual homes to prepare the elements, whatever they can find in their cabinets. If they have crackers, if they have bread, pita bread would be preferred, but whatever is available, we ask them to use that for the body of Christ, and also whatever juice they may have available, we ask them to use that as well. So we do it on Zoom. So I sort of lead in that effort, and then everybody takes it the same time we do after we bless the elements.
Okay, so no wine.
Some people, I think, have used wine. Yeah, we used to do that, Meleika. I don't know if you remember that. In my childhood, real wine was served, all the way up until I was maybe a teenager. Yeah, just a dab of it, but yeah. I think it was Morgan David.
Don't overindulge in it. It's just a
There you go. There you go. Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna jump right into it because I know you got to get rolling. But the question is, and I have, actually a friend of mine posed this question a couple of weeks ago, and the question is really standing out right now: is who gets to play God during this whole COVID-19 situation that we are going through, trauma that we are going through? We've seen the numbers spike in terms of the Black community and the Latinx community. Like it just seemed like it just spiked overnight. And I believe it's, based off of institutional racism. It's them not being tested when they come in with the symptoms and they're being sent back home. I mean, it's a plethora of things: economics, health insurance. I think all that plays in it. So how do you address that? I mean, we need help on a spiritual plane dealing with COVID-19 as well as dealing with the physical, what to do, what not to do. But help us to understand who gets to play God, because people are playing God right now. And I think it's showing in the numbers.
Well, of course, it's an interesting phrase that you're using, who gets to play God. Of course, my theology would suggest that nobody has the capacity to play God. They may think they are, but there is only one God. And of course, I think the only solace that we can take in times of pandemics and tragedies, whether they be human-made or natural, is that there's a text from the Old Testament, that says that God is talking to one of the prophets, and God says, "My ways are not your ways." And, as high as the heavens are above the earth, so are my ways toward your ways. So I think that those pundits who make an effort to try to define what God is doing in such a time as this, they're only using their sort of weakened human analysis. We don't know exactly what God is up to with all of this. But what we do know is that God has framed us and shaped us in the Lord's own image. So we have intelligence, we have spiritual insight, we have what, my mother used to always call, mother wit. We have all of those things that we can use to deal with these tragic issues. So you talk about how the numbers have spiked, and they are now inordinately, I think they have been from the very first, but they are inordinately affecting the African American community. Well, I'm very concerned about some of the initial information that was coming out from maybe you know, Meleika, I'm becoming very jaded. So, you know, I don't know whether the information that was coming out was from maybe well-intended Black folks who are conspiracy theorists, or whether they are actually trolls who are on our pages, on our social media, and attempting to deliver a message that's just absolutely insane. But, you know, those early messages that came out were, you know, Blacks are not getting COVID-19. It's another kind of disease. There were folks who were arguing this is not real, it's contrived. And, you know, you may have seen some of those videos that I saw in earlier weeks and even up until recently. But now we know, you know, Dr. Fauci mentioned just yesterday, and I think that's somebody that everybody's listening to right now. But you know, he mentioned that the numbers are just absolutely inordinately affecting Black communities. And of course, that's the case. So last night, I was on 2 conference calls, you know, at the same time. You know, that's impossible, right? So, and one of the conference calls was, they were both national calls. One of them was from Rainbow Coalition being led by Jesse Jackson, and the Proctor Conference being led by Dr. Iva Carruthers. There were probably hundreds of ministers on that call, and the folks who came on the call that I think are not necessarily specialists in the disease, but they're specialists in Black folks. That was Congressman Maxine Waters and Congressman John Lewis. So they were giving their information and sharing just staggering information. 68% of COVID deaths in the Chicago area are Black people, and Black people only comprise 30% of Chicago's overall population. So we're dying at extraordinary amounts. And you were talking about some of these reasons, and I like the reasons that you were given, but let me run through a couple of them and then try to give a spiritual response. So then we know that we have pre-existing conditions as Black folks, right? We have asthma inordinately because we're living in environmentally poor areas. That it's not just that we're prone to get asthma, but we're prone to get asthma because we're living near or close to horrible places where trash is being taken, and you know how it is right over on Church Street near Dodge. So those are some of the reasons why Black people are suffering from asthma. We're suffering from obesity and diabetes, not because we just make poor choices, right? But because there have historically been poor grocery stores and awful marketing blitzes that are aimed at Black people and our poor choices. And of course, we're also dealing with the reality of DNA. We also are suffering from cardiovascular disease because of a history of dietary choices, because of the awful marketing blitzes that are aimed at, you know, the bad choices that we make. We're suffering from high blood pressure and hypertension due to poor exercises and bad dietary choices and environmental injustices. We're suffering because of a lack of equitable testing now, the stuff that you were talking about, where whites are being tested at a rate of sometimes I've heard 2 or 3 times as much as Blacks, even though Blacks are dying 2 to 3 times as more often. There's a lack of driven data and statistics aimed at concentrated areas where Black folks live. There are not enough of us. There are not enough Black leaders like preachers and pastors and community advocates who are on the front lines and shouting with all of our mights that this is the most serious thing that we have faced in our lifetimes. And if we don't get a grip on it, when we get to the other side, the Black community is going to be decimated. We will have lost so many people, and we will have lost so many leaders and so many of our seniors. You know, all of that is just a reality. And then couple that with a federal administration that we know does not even care about us. They're not concerned about us. We are not nearly on their list of priorities. So we're fighting a battle now, Meleika. It is a battle. We are fighting, and this is just the first battle. The other battles are lining up for us, hunger and no resources for food. That's another battle that Black people are facing. Last night on the call with Rainbow Coalition, Congressman Maxine Waters said that so far 54% of the people who are asking for food in the country are Black people. 54%. 50% of the people that are in need of some kind of income are Black people. 50% of the people that are asking. And of course, we only constitute about 12 to 15% of the population in the country. So we're dealing with that. What's another battle that we're dealing with? Another battle that we're going to be dealing with has to do with resources, bills. We have bills coming in, a mortgage to pay, rent, utilities, credit card departments. None of that is stopping. They're continuing to knock on your door. They're continuing to make threats. All of that is coming in, and we have no money, and we lost our jobs. There's a significant loss of employment with zero opportunity right now for jobs for months to come. We're also dealing with mental and emotional stress with no outlets to address this internal crisis. John Lewis said on the call last night, and we've heard this, I think, in other places as well, that there's all sorts of internal strife that's going on now. There's abusive situations that are occurring in households because people don't know how to communicate with each other, and they're there next to each other every single day. That's happening to us. So, and then finally, right, what you probably have me on here for, spiritual isolation, right? Spiritual isolation. So many of our churches do not have access to social media platforms. And for those churches that do, like Second Baptist, your church, the church I serve, we have nearly 1,000 members, but we probably only have 200 to 300 that are accessing our social media platform from Sunday to Sunday for worship service. And that is to suggest that a great many of our senior citizens who are dedicated members still do not have access to our services. Right now, we have our Bible study that's going on with Reverend Alfred Little. Probably no more than 15 or 20 people are on that. And afterwards, we're going to shift over to our Maundy Thursday service. And when we normally have a regular Maundy Thursday service in our sanctuary, we probably will have 50 to 75 people. We have a Good Friday service that's going to be held for Zoom tomorrow at 7 o'clock. We normally have a sanctuary filled with people, but I'm not so sure that we'll have more than 40 or 50. So people are struggling. You know this for yourself, and I know it as well. Black people are community people. We are communal. We love getting together. It doesn't matter whether it's in church on Sunday morning or at the nightclub on Saturday night. We love getting together at the park. We are famous for our family reunions. We're famous for our barbecues. All of that has stopped now, and it must stop. We cannot get together right now, and that's having an effect on us. It's hurting us emotionally. It's hurting us mentally. And of course, it's hurting us spiritually. And so my message, if I have one as a pastor and as a preacher, it's asking people to hold on and to recognize that we are in a war. And as soon as one battle is over, we've got other battles that we have going on. How do we handle this? What has God given us to handle this? Who's going to fight our battles, right? Mm-hmm. We will. It's us. We are the only ones that will help us. We are the ones who will give aid and assistance to each other. We are the ones who will win this battle by relying on each other, by leaning on each other, and by helping each other every single juncture of the journey. Every single senior person that we know, we ought to be calling and asking how they're doing. Every single person who says that they think they have a slight fever or that they've got chills or that they're sweating, they need to call their primary physician or 911. And that needs to happen right away. That's not just, a secular response. That's God in us telling us that we need to help each other, and that's the way that we can do it. So I said a lot in a short period of time. I know you're going to come back and ask me a few more questions. You see, I'm fired up about this, and we all need to be.
Yes, I am. So how do we fight this? One, it's an invisible monster. So staying indoors is definitely one. But in terms of us not getting the service, the help that we need, the medical attention that we need, being able to hold on to our jobs, how do we fight that? How do we fight that?
Yeah. Well, organization. We have to come together. We have to be united like we've never been united before. We have to be organized. And what that means is we have to rely on those same leaders I was telling you about earlier, whether it be African-American clergy in towns, community activists, the NAACP, Black business organizations, in Evanston, for example, and I think this is important. The mayor has this task force, and the task force is broken up into several subcommittees. So those subcommittees are designed to reach out and aid and assist those folks in the community who are hurting the most. So if we know of somebody that is hungry, then we need to make sure that we're in touch with at least two of those subcommittees. One of them are the public schools, 202 and District 65. Both of them are continuing to serve lunches at extraordinary numbers. I think they're almost up to 2,000 lunches a day, 2,000 meals a day. For folks who are in our community. That is absolutely a wonderful number, but that's not all. Our soup kitchens are still going on. Folks can't come in and sit down, but they can come up to church doors and receive their meal for the day in a paper bag. Our own church is doing that on Monday and Tuesday. So that's still happening. We've reached out to help our homeless population as well. They're in 2 hotels now in the Evanston community, and meals are being delivered to them every single day. So that's one thing. For the folks who are hurting financially, they have to make sure that they are making the right phone calls. If you're not able to pay your rent because of this situation, you need to call the landlord. And you need to say to the landlord, we need to take a moment and we need to make a readjustment because I've lost my job. I have no income that's coming in. And I'm asking you to be considerate of this. And if they're not considerate of it, then you make a beeline to your alderman, call your alderman and say, I need some help in this situation. And the alderman may be able to provide resources for you or to make a phone call to the landlord. That has to happen. With regard to unemployment, of course, you need to file for unemployment. That this stimulus package is supposed to be coming down. Folks who have filed for loans and grants, that's supposed to be coming in within the next 10 to 14 days. And of course, your income tax return is supposed to be coming in as well. They've made a beeline, from what I hear, to get those checks out as soon as possible. They won't all be coming out at the same time. I need to let you know that those persons with the lowest income and salaries will be the first to receive their returns. And then it's going to go up from there. So those people that are sort of in the lower strata, income-wise, should be the first ones to receive their income tax returns, and then it will level out to folks who go up into the higher bracket. So, those are ways we need to know that. We need to know the number of our aldermen. We need to know the number of the mayor's office. We need to know the number of Robin Gable, our state representative. We need to know the number of Laura Fine. We need to know the number of Jan Schakowsky and not be afraid to make those calls. If individuals are not comfortable doing that, because some people just are not, that about our people, some people don't like making those calls, then call your pastor, right? Call your pastor and say to your pastor, I've got a situation and I need your help and I need your assistance. And I know that pastors are swamped and busy right now. If they can't do it themselves, then they need to find somebody in their leadership circle of their churches to make those calls. The most important thing, Meleika, is that no person right now should ever feel like they are alone and that the world is closing in around them. I know that you're isolated, but you're not alone. And not only are you not alone in terms of God being with you, but you're not alone because other Black folk in the community are with you as well.
Mm-hmm. That's comforting. That's good to know because, the news is horrifying to watch every day.
Yep.
And now that we see the numbers are spiking and you're in that group for the numbers that's spiking up there. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. We are in that group, and it's not just prone, to folks who are 65 and older.
Oh, no.
It is ripping and roaring through all people, all Black people at every age. Mm-hmm. And so we need to be aware of that. But nobody needs to be outside in any kind of social gathering. If you're going outside, get a breath of fresh air. If you love to exercise, go outside and jog around your block and make sure that if somebody else is coming down the street, that you go to the opposite side. Exactly. You can wave, you can be nice, but you know what Dr. Fauci said yesterday? He actually said that handshaking should never occur again.
Yeah, I think that's over. I think we have a whole new reality coming out of this. No
We
more
do, we
shaking.
do, we do. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And so it's something that we have to wrap our minds around, but it is not something that should press us down so that we feel like we have no future, like everything is going to hell in a handbasket. It is as bad as it has been, but there are some of us who I think have the capacity, no matter how dark the night, we can see that the morning is going to come. No matter how deep we have gone into the tunnel, we know that there's light at the end of it. And I think that we have to be the ones to articulate that to them. We say this all the time as Black folk. I don't believe God brought me this far to leave me. And I believe that, and I believe that's true. Our best is yet to come. You know, and so we got all of these folk thinking that the world is going to come to an end and that this is Armageddon. And, you know, I have folk who are on, you know, on social media who are saying that. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, no, I'm not ready for that. And not just because of me. I've got kids and grandkids
Right.
who need to live their lives and try to make this thing right, the thing that we messed up. Just because we failed, we want the world to come to an end? No, to hell with that. You know, we got to make, I'm sorry, I know.
Well, we're going through a transformation. That's what's happening. It's a transformation into a new reality. And now we see more so now than ever, yeah, because of the color of your skin, they can deny you a test, they can deny you the care and send you back home. So we need to start preparing the next time this occurs.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely, Meleika. And I think that, you know, from our knowledge, I hope that people are listening to the same thing I'm listening to. This is potentially the first wave of COVID-19. When we get to the peak and things begin to get better, there are fewer people contracting it and fewer people dying. When some people are cleared to go back to work, that does not mean that we will be able to gather together again in the way that we always did, because there is proof now that it comes back. And so if it comes back, then we have to make sure that if we're cleared to go back to work, we are still practicing social distancing, we are washing our hands, we're being very careful. All of that is just critical. So again, we're in this for the long run. It is not going to end on Easter as number 45 thought it would. It's not going to end on April 30th. This is going to go on for the foreseeable future. So let's deal with that new reality, embrace it. Let's love on each other like Black folks are used to loving on each other. Let's care for each other. I'm sorry?
But from a distance.
From a distance, yeah. Oh, yeah. A new kind of love, yeah. right, yeah, a new kind of love. Thank you, Meleika. Let's make sure that it's as intense and powerful as possible. And so all of that is very, very important. This has been a good time. I'm glad I've been able to share, you know, the things that I'm learning, especially from being privileged to be on these national calls and all of that. I'm glad that you're doing this so we can share that information to the community.
All right. Thank you so much, Pastor Nabors. Thank you. And
Okay.
Look forward to talking to you again next week.
Okay. Thank you, Meleika. Keep on keeping on. Okay. Power to the people now.
All right.
And keep faith alive.
That's right. That's right.
Amen. Keep the faith, my sister. Bless you. Okay.
You too. Bless you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, you guys. So you've heard it from Pastor Nabors. He is also president of NAACP North Shore. And yeah, we have a battle. We definitely have a battle just as human beings around the world, but definitely the Black community and the Latinx community, we got to figure this out because, like you said, you know, even when it looks like it's getting better, you know, it's supposed to come back. So we need to be prepared for that next round of it coming back. And yeah, but I must say that I believe being in Evanston with North Shore Hospital right up the street here, they have been absolutely phenomenal during this whole process, kind of pioneers leading the way in terms of the test kits. You know, they have been just absolutely awesome. So I think being in Evanston, we're pretty pretty fortunate and blessed to be in the area that we are. But let's definitely keep our prayers out to those who don't have access to great health care, who are being turned away, even though they have the symptoms and it's very, very clear. I mean, it's a freaking nightmare. It's a nightmare that we have not awakened from. And, you know, it's sad. And I think one of the things we need to do, like you said, is organize and be prepared for this battle, for this fight to keep our communities alive. Because it almost feels like a freaking weapon, like it's being used as a weapon. That's what it feels like. That's what it looks like. Yeah. So you all, please, please stay indoors. Stay indoors unless you have to go out for food, water, pharmacy. You shouldn't have to leave the house for any other reason other than those three things right there. You know, Evanston has really been coming together and helping out our seniors. So we do have volunteers who have been going out with their masks, their protective gear, their gloves, helping the senior community, checking on them, seeing if there's anything that they need. So it's been absolutely beautiful watching the Evanston community come together and help those who cannot get out and about to get the things that they need to get through this dark time period. But like you said, I do see it as a transformation. It's going to be a new reality. Days of shaking hands, I do believe that day is over. I'm a hugger, so you know this is going to be definitely a new reality for those of us who like to embrace people. And even in doing Evanston Live TV, I'm used to going out and about and talking to people and touching them, embracing them and getting close and having those intimate conversations with them. And now, you know, it's totally through social media, through technology. So yeah, it's changed. The reality has changed for everybody all the way around. But please, if you know of any seniors that are in need of anything, again, you can reach me at 847-316-1145. I can get them on the list to receive groceries at C&W Market. Clarence and Wendy Weaver, they have been absolute angels. We've made several deliveries out already, and it's great. Phone has been ringing to add more people to the list, and this is great, absolutely great. You can send those donations, though, directly through C&W Marketplace, so you can reach out to them if you just want to donate. You can do that. They're right there on Church and Dodge. And but if you know of any seniors, you can have them either get in touch with me, Evanston Live TV, E-Town Sister Circle, or you can go directly to C&W Market and they can put you on the list as well. And then also definitely Jennifer's Edibles. And you know, let's stick together and help each other out. That's all we can do during this time period, is organize and help one another. And like he said, love on each other, but from a distance, from a distance. Getting prepared for the new reality, the new transformation. All right, you guys stay tuned. Next week, we'll be back with Pastor Nabors. If you all have any questions you want to go over, you know, shoot them over to me and we can touch on those topics. Yeah, it's so much going on, just so much to talk about in this new reality that we have. And we have some other guests coming up, so you all stay tuned here, Evanston Live TV. We're going to get through this.